What's going on, guys? Cal from Nowhere Drive 229 here today, and as promised in the Mercedes CLS video, I have a surprise for y'all. Today what we are in is a 2013 Porsche Panamera GTS. Now, I'll be the first to say, when the Panamera GTS came out, I was not a fan of the car whatsoever. I thought it looked ugly. I wondered why in the world Porsche did it. I just thought it was just a failure on every front. Until I got a chance to drive the Panamera GTS that I'm in now. So the Panamera GTS, for those of you that don't know, comes with a V8. It's a naturally aspirated V8 that puts out 430 horsepower, I think 380 pound-feet of torque. Not really crazy numbers, but you got to think about how Porsche does it. Porsche numbers are never really all that excitable as far as looking at the numbers go, but when you start to drive it, you realize there's something special about the car. I'm sorry for all you other guys. It's not Porsche, it's Porsche. My bad. But no, as far as the Porsche Panamera GTS goes, I've fallen in love with the look of the car simply because probably of how good of a car it is. Like I said, it's naturally aspirated, so one of my favorite things about the car is the way it sounds. It sounds really good. This car is equipped with the sport exhaust, which basically means there's a loud and a low setting for it. You can set it in regular mode, which kind of quiets everything down. You can turn the sport exhaust back on, you get a little bit more sound. You're greeted with a nice little pop and burble and everything else between each shift. This car also has PDK transmission. This car also has Sport and Sport Plus options that tightens up your throttle response, your steering wheel, your suspension, transmission response, gear changes, all that type of stuff, as I'm pretty sure you're familiar with in most cars. But why is it that the Panamera GTS is one of my favorite cars? That's what I'm gonna tell y'all in this video. So starting out, like I said, I was not a fan of the interior of the Panamera GTS. I thought it was an ugly car. I thought it looked like a big whale. I just thought it was too big, and it did not look like it was agile. Like, I'm thinking for a Porsche, car should be agile. It should dance around. It should move. And this doesn't look like something that will do that. But this car, let me tell you guys, it will do everything that any car this size will do, and then some. The interior of this car is nice. You're greeted with the nice touches. There's some suede in the right places. There's leather in the right places. There's carbon fiber in the right places. As I mentioned before, I feel like some cars overuse brushed aluminum and carbon fiber. I feel like the cars aren't sporty enough for that. They put it in the wrong places. It doesn't really add anything to the car. And this car, Porsche did it very well by putting it in just the right places. The interior of this car feels like a luxury car, but it feels sporty. I love how they gave it a race car feeling. You know, Porsche sticks with the tradition of putting the ignition on the left side, because basically the theory is that when people would jump into the race cars before the races, it was easier for them to turn the car on from this side as opposed to them having to get over here and reach for the ignition and turn the car on. Porsche sticks with that. I think that's a really cool feature. Most people won't appreciate that. Most people don't care. But as a car enthusiast, the little details make a big difference. Another thing I love about this car as far as the looks and the interior go is the seats. The seats are beautiful. They have really nice bolstering to them. They're really comfortable without feeling like straight sport seats. I love the stitching with the red in it. I love the red seat belt. I love the red GTS stitching on each of the seats. I think that's really beautiful. I think, once again, that's a nice touch that Porsche added that makes this car just that much nice from the inside. The rear seat space is awesome. You can fit anybody you want in the back of this car. You never have to worry about that. The headroom has been complained about for some people. I'm sure it doesn't bother me whatsoever. And nobody that I've had riding with me in this car has ever complained about the headroom in this car. Trunk space is a little sketchy sometimes. It is a hatchback, and it is an automatic hatchback, by the way, which is a nice luxury feature. The hatchback goes up automatically, and but the issue with it is it has this cover over it that kind of limits how high you can really go with it. And if anything touches that cover, the trunk will not close. It'll kind of open itself back up. So that the cargo space is not what you would expect it to be for this car this big, but it always has been enough for like vacations and road trips and stuff like that. If you're not packing crazy heavily, and if you're willing to make some adjustments in the way you pack things, you should be fine. But enough of all that stuff. Let's get to the real nitty-gritty of why you buy a Panamera GTS. So Panamera GTS is meant to be a sports coupe. It is meant to have a performance side with some luxury. Now, if you watch my CLS 550 review, you notice that I said that car was more skewed towards the luxury side of things. Well, this car is definitely more skewed towards the performance side of things. It's not as fast as that CLS 550 with the tune, but this car is so much more fun than that car is. It's a lot more planted. It's a lot more agile. It feels more like it was meant to be a performance car than that car is. Not taking anything away from that car, still a good car, but this car feels like it was purposed for a different thing. There's not a curve, there's not a twisty that I've taken this car on that it has not been able to handle. This car is all-wheel drive, so off the line it takes off really well. The car ran a flat 4-second quarter mile, a flat 4-second 0 to 60. And I think it was like a 12.7, 12.8 quarter mile, which is about, if you notice, the same as the CLS 550 in stock form that I reviewed previously. However, the power delivery of this car is just so much nicer. That car is turbocharged, so even before the tune, there was the feeling of turbo spooling, turbo hitting you, and it was fun, but I love the feel of a naturally aspirated car, and this is a naturally aspirated car that just blows your mind as far as power delivery goes. It redlines at, it looks to be like 7,100 RPM, nothing crazy. But it's just so much fun. It sounds amazing. I have the car in sport mode now, and there's another mode up you can go to, the Sport Plus, tightens everything up even more. In sport mode is how you want to drive it around the street. I know you guys have heard me mention sometimes that the automatic mode in my dual clutch transmission on my E92 M3 sucks. The reason I say that is because I'm comparing it to this. My car, I feel like, does not do well as an automatic driving around town. Like this car, I haven't touched the paddles yet. But if I put this car in sport mode, or even leave it in normal mode, it does a very good job of getting me around town feeling like an automatic. I don't have to worry about shifting gears if I don't want to. In my car, I feel like I have to shift gears to stay where I want to be. In this car, in sport mode or sport plus, in sport plus, it's like a track car. I mean, the car keeps you in the right gear at all times. You're never concerned about being in the wrong gear. And it's such a big car that just takes curves like no other. I mean, I've driven cars half the size of this that don't do what this car does. It's crazy. You get nice little rev match downshifts. It does it on its own in this car, actually. When you put it in Sport Plus mode, it'll bring the cars down, bring the gears down, give you those vroom, vroom, those nice rev match downshifts. The car is just a blast to drive, and it shouldn't be this much fun because it's such a big car. The power is just, delivery is so good, and that sound. Can you guys hear that sound? It sounds so crazy. That PDK is a monster, man. You guys have heard me call other transmissions slow. A lot of guys got upset with me because I said the SMG and the E60 M5 was slow. It is. But the dual clutch in the PDK that Porsche uses is so ridiculously good. I've tracked these cars and literally been able to leave them in Sport Plus mode and just do whatever I want it to do. Never have to worry about what gear I'm in. The car took care of all that for me. The PDK is just an amazing machine. My only issue with the PDK sometimes, when you're not in the most aggressive mode, it's probably a gimmick that BMW does. The dual clutch kind of snaps you back each time. This car only does it sometimes. I don't know if y'all heard that, but it just gave me a nice little burble when I let off the gas. I'm actually going to show y'all a nice little launch of this car. I'm at a dead stop now. I have the car in Sport Plus mode, and here we go. It's so much fun. It's crazy how fast this car is and how it feels off the line. It's insane. It's insane how much fun this car is. It should not be this much fun to be a 4,300 pound car. It just does not make any sense. I'm sorry, I'm enjoying this car far too much. It sounds amazing. Like this, every car I get, every car I drive, especially after having done the exhaust on my A92 M3, I'm always like, man, I need to put an exhaust on this. Never in this car am I sitting here thinking I need an exhaust. This car sounds beautiful in stock form. This car is tuned so well. The chassis is just stiff enough to give you some pleasure without beating you up when you're riding down the road. The car is just amazing. I think in the used market, these cars go for around 70s to 80s. And my thinking on that is, in the $70,000 and $80,000 range, in my head, first thing comes to mind, M3. What else we got? C63 AMG, stuff like that. I love those cars, don't get me wrong, they're very fun cars. But if you need something a little bit bigger, or even the E63 you can get around that range in the used market. I think if you're looking in that range and you want a nice car that's fun, you're not really worried about being the fastest, you just want something that's fun, it draws your attention. This car, we were noticing it this weekend actually. Anywhere I would park it, people would notice it immediately. Whether they like Porsches, whether they like Panameras, whatever, whether you like them or not, this car is going to draw your eye to it. It's a big white car, and it's such a clean car that you just have no choice but to at least look at it. Whether you look at it and say it's ugly, or look at it and say you love it, you're going to look at it. And then the sound coupled with that, it draws a nice attention to it. It has a nice presence. I think if you buy these type of cars, at a certain point, you really want the presence, guys. You don't buy a Porsche Ferrari, Lamborghini, Mercedes, BMW without at least caring a little bit about the presence of the car. And this car offers a really good presence. But back to what I was saying. As far as going with this, maybe versus like an E63 AMG, but you can get around the same price in the used market, I would go with the Panamera GTS. The E63 is a better car. I think in the numbers, it's faster, straight line, faster around the track, but E63 is now turbocharged, which means that though AMG does a very good job of retaining the sound in their cars, don't get me wrong, the Panamera GTS, it's just something special about this car. I think my favorite thing about it is that it's so ludicrously big, but handles so ludicrously well. I'm going to look it up to verify for sure, but I'm pretty sure that the Panamera GTS, this 2013 Panamera GTS, outruns my car, my E92 M3, on at least some tracks. It's really ridiculous how precise the steering is in this car. Everything feels so in tune. It's an experience, guys. Like, this car is much more of an experience than I thought it was going to be. Like I said, when I saw this car, I thought it was a big Porsche, and I thought it made zero sense to have a Porsche with this much size to it. Like, how can that be fun? Guys, it is so much fun. It is ridiculous how much fun this car is. I mean, you're never lacking for fun in this car, period, guys. It's just a blast to drive. It gets down the road, it gets around the twisties, and it will take you to work comfortably. Even the gas mileage isn't terrible. The gas mileage on this is better than my M3. The gas mileage on this is rated at 16 city, 23 highway. You would probably average, if you're, somewhat sane in your driving habits, you would probably average somewhere around 20 mpg. You feel like you're in the lap of luxury. You feel like you're in a performance car all at once. It's really like, and I guess that's what Porsche was going for, but it's really like they took a 911 and made it into a big luxury car. I mean, the thing is just crazy. It's so much fun. It's so much more fun than you would ever expect it to be. It's so much fun. This is crazy. This is crazy. And I guess because it's so big, it feels like it's going even faster. It feels like a missile going down the road. It's insane how fast this car is. I mean, it's arguably more fun in a straight line than my E92 M3 is. It feels like such a missile going down the road that freaking, it's so stable and so planted. It makes you feel like you can just take on the world. It's crazy. Porsche did an amazing job with the Panamera GTS, and I just do not understand why this car does not get more credit. I really don't. Any Porsche that I've driven with the GTS badge on it has blown my mind. The 911 GTS blew my mind. The Cayman GTS blew my mind. Panamera GTS has blown my mind. This is the car that you want if you're going to go with Porsche. You want a GTS. You want a Panamera, Cayman, or 911 GTS. They're the ones that offer you such a good package of features that you want to give you a pure driver enjoyment in these cars. Period. Not up for debate. Turning radius is sharp on this one as well. It's a blast, y'all. This is a blast. It's so fast. So fast. I'm gonna play with the paddles a little bit. Manual mode. All you do is throw it over to the left to get your manual mode. Just throw it back over to the right to put you back in drive. And if you notice, guys, in this car, I've done most of this review in automatic mode. That is just how good the PDK is programmed in this car. You never really care to touch the paddles. They're just that freaking good at programming these transmissions. In the M3, I'm always shifting it. I'm always using the paddles. You're not gonna beat the programming and the PDK, period. Porsche is killing the game with the PDK. The V8 in is pretty reliable. Little tidbit on that, actually. I did not know this. I did some research on it. But in a lot of areas, Porsche is literally right below Lexus as far as reliability goes. That's crazy. That is freaking crazy because we all know Lexus is generally pretty boring to drive. And Porsche is up at the top of fun cars to drive. And if you can get the luxury of a Lexus or close to it, mind you, the maintenance is going to be a little bit more expensive. But if you can get the luxury and performance of a Porsche with something close to the reliability of a Lexus, why wouldn't you? I haven't driven this car in a while. I've driven this car pretty extensively before, and since I moved, I haven't been driving it as much. I came back to town this weekend, and I'm getting to drive it a little bit more. Oh my God, after driving it now, I'm kind of like, I'm just going to get myself one of these. It's just so much fun. It's just so much fun. It's just so much fun. This is the car you want. In the meantime, guys, this has been Cal from Nowhere Drive 229 here. I'm going to go hop out of this car before I lose my freaking mind. It is so much fun to drive. This is the most fun I've had on a review in a minute. And I think it's just because it's so big and it still dances so well. But y'all check out the rest of the channel. We got a lot of reviews coming up. D's going to be vlogging his Audi S5 modifications. He's going to try to beat my E92 M3. Not going to happen, but hey, keep hope alive, brother. In the meantime, like I said, y'all check out everything else on the page. Browse, like, watch, subscribe, all that stuff. This has been Cal from Nowhere Drive 229. I'll catch y'all in the next video.